We are live on YouTube also.
I'm like having a cough attack now.
What's good, everybody? Oh, we got Kareem Walker. Okay. St. Benedict's Prep alumni. What's good, man? How you doing? All right, so we are live here. So are we recording now?
I don't know. Me not know.
So, yo, this is us figuring this out for the first time, trying to make this work.
YouTube will record it, but here's...
YouTube recording?
Yeah, but if you want to record it, you can hit
sorry.
that.
Okay, hit that.
Oh, so it's recording.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, we doing good. Kids are asleep. We recording. We talking about a lot of different things today. So we excited you here, man.
Somebody tag Russell a day. Somebody
Yeah,
tag Russell a day.
So. What's good, everyone? This is Dr. Nee.
Dr. Renee.
This is a live version of Docs Outside the Box. Or at least if you're watching right now, we're a live version of Docs Outside the Box on YouTube as well as on Instagram and also on Facebook. Listen, we want to try something different and we want to stay on top of what's going on pop culture, pop events. So we got a lot to talk about. So today we're going to be talking about that $1 billion endowment to Albert Einstein Medical School in the Bronx, which makes medical school tuition free for everyone there, which is dope. We're also going to be talking about should you, or when you have a wedding reception, should you be asking your guests to pay for that portion of the wedding? I think
pay to play.
And then we got a question from one of our listeners about why is there so much hate when you decide to change the way how you work? You know, when you got a fellow employee, because that's where the camera's at.
I know, but it's so much easier because you look like you're looking.
Nah, I'm looking there.
Okay.
So why do you get so much hate from employees when you decide to go part-time? So we got a lot to cover. And we have one more thing that we may cover. It's from John Henry. We'll see if we have time for that. But we don't want this to be too long. But yo, what's good, everyone? We are here. And we got buddy of yours went where? Well, anyway, we'll continue to follow on. But yo, let's jump right into this. Yo.
Wait. Before we do that, so we are wearing...
Oh, yeah, it's true. Yes.
We are wearing these shirts. You might have seen these shirts on Instagram, kind of going around, me becoming a doctor's Black History. And this is our... I guess, last ditch effort to celebrate Black History Month with 1 hour to go. Because we procrastinate like that. But these shirts were sent to us by Dr. Russell Leday, who is one of the founders of the 15 White Coats. So we want to say shout out to him for everything that he's doing with that program. Right now they have a MCAT prep program going, and I am mentoring in that program. But shout out to him for everything that he's doing, and thank you for sending us these shirts. We truly, truly appreciate you.
Dr. Russell Leday, thank you for sending us these sweaters, yo. We got your back, yo. We appreciate it. Hopefully we'll see you at the SNMA AMEC conference.
It's going to
be in New Orleans in a couple of weeks. But yeah, shout out to sending us these sweaters. These are dope. And listen, we'll put a link in the show notes once this live finishes. But you guys should definitely check out 15 White Coats, what he's doing for the community, trying to get more people into medical school.
Balls.
Amazing. Let's jump right into this, guys.
Let's go.
So, listen. Yo, we got a 96-year-old woman, Dr. Ruth Godesberg. She made a $1 billion endowment. $1 billion with a B. $1 billion investment to Albert Einstein, and with that endowment, with that donation, we talking about every student there in perpetuity doesn't have to pay for any tuition whatsoever. I would have played the video, but it's taking forever. I don't feel like going through all that stuff. But everybody was mad
I saw my mentee in there.
So you actually have a student that you work
he's
with.
in the first frame where they're like, ah! Yeah.
Yo, that's
Shout out to Andrew Peck.
So let me give the specifics. So basically, Dr. Ruth Godesman, she's a professor of pediatrics. She's an emeritus. She's been there since 1968. She was married to, I guess her husband was like this huge financier. I don't know how you describe it, but he made a whole bunch of money on the stock market. He was really good friends with, what's that guy's name? He owns Berkshire Hathaway. The richest man on the planet. What's his name?
Oh, Buffett.
Buffett. And he made a lot of money with him. They were friends since the 60s, and his investment turned into a whole bunch of money. When he died, he told her, here's $1 billion or whatever is here. Do whatever you want to do with it. And she decided that she was going to give to her school, and she was going to make sure that the tuition would be covered free. So this is an example.
Dang.
This is an example of billionaires using their money for good.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And actually, this is not the only school that's done this. In 2018, NYU, they went tuition free. But they gave, the people who gave, the Langones, they gave like 200 million or something like that. She gave a billion.
A billion.
I don't know how that math works. I thought tuition is free for both of their schools. So I don't understand. She gives $1 billion, tuition is free. They give 200 million, tuition is free. I don't know how it works, but.
Well, it's because it's an endowment.
Right, but why does 200 million get you tuition free, but $1 billion?
Because it's enough.
Really? Okay.
It must be enough. They must be getting enough in returns, right? Because it's not, here's $1 billion. Because if you just gave $1 billion and it wasn't an endowment, eventually it would run out. But if you give $1 billion and it's an endowment, then everything is operating off the returns. If you get returns off $1 billion, even if the market is down, you still doing pretty good.
So I did the research, and if you are a fourth-year medical student, like you're in, like your first 3 years, you still got to pay for.
Right.
So
I know somebody pissed.
Actually, your first 3.5 years, you still got to pay for.
Somebody did.
So, yo, all right. So if you took out your loans for your spring semester of your 4th year, they're gonna reimburse you for that.
Right.
But everything before that is not tuition free. You're going to have to pay for that by yourself. Now, everybody else, 3rd years, I'm assuming 2nd years, they're going to have to pay some type of version. And then 1st years get the best deal, right? So, I don't know. But anyway, tuition free.
It's free from this point.
And it's just tuition. It doesn't count for housing. It doesn't count for books or anything like that. Tuition free, which is great. So, I think that the average student going to school right now is somewhere in the range of $200,000 to $250,000 of debt. Everybody knows that debt makes a decision as to, or plays a role in, if they're going to go into primary care versus specialty, so we think, or if, depending on what part of the country they're going to practice, are they going to go rural? Right. Or are they going to go in
suburban,
a bigger city?
Urban, right?
All of these things play a role, and there's a lot of people who are definitely positive for this, and then there's some people who are negative who don't feel like this is really a good idea.
Who don't feel like it's a good idea? The only people who don't feel like this is a good idea is people who got loans, and they just want to be miserable with everybody else. I mean, that's like saying basically, you shouldn't give somebody a scholarship. Yeah. Like, why not? Why? Why can't they have a scholarship? That's what happened. If you come to this school, you get a scholarship. What's the big deal?
See, I think
that's just stupid.
I think
Who's against this?
But I think when you think about the side effects of what this will cause, right? So what happened with NYU, the applications went through the roof. So it became that much harder to get into that school. Wait.
I get it.
Hold, pause. It got that much harder to get into the school. The question is, yes, you're taking care of tuition. The majority of people who go to medical school come from pretty good backgrounds already.
Right.
Do we know that it's going to be actually changing the trajectory of the careers of people, right? Okay. Or is it just exacerbating things that were already going to happen, right? So, for example, if you have a bunch of students who said that, listen, yeah, I might go into pediatrics versus going to orthopedic surgery. This $1 billion donation, and I don't have to pay for tuition. Now I'm going to go into pediatrics. Do you really think that that's really tipping the scales at that one medical school with that? I don't know.
Well, so, right, it could be the thing that causes the ripple, right? If NYU did it, then Einstein does it. Who else is going to do it, right? Because, first of all, we know that these are extremely expensive schools, right? These are extremely expensive. These are probably at the top in terms of expensive.
These are private schools.
Right, private schools.
In New York City.
Right? So now the pressure is on, right? Because if I'm trying to get into NYU and I'm trying to get into Einstein, then, maybe Cornell doesn't look so attractive anymore. Maybe, what's the other one? Whatever the other one is.
It doesn't.
Right?
It doesn't. Like the school where you're going to get in for free, excuse me, the school where you can graduate without any tuition, that becomes the most attractive joint.
But that's what I'm saying. Maybe Cornell doesn't look so
Right.
attractive anymore, right? Because NYU is giving out, free tuition. So is Einstein. So maybe Cornell's not looking that great anymore.
But what's your point? I don't understand.
I don't know what my point is. But basically,
hold on. That's the whole thing is when you have free tuition at a school, it becomes that much more competitive. So yes. At that school.
Okay,
right.
so back to my point. At that school. But it becomes what happened?
Is your microphone?
It's on, but it's dim. Yeah.
Okay.
It becomes also a competition. It also becomes a competition among schools.
Okay.
Right? Because if NYU did it, now Einstein did it, Cornell is, we got to give free tuition too. Like, something's got to give, right? So it's not just competition within the school, it's also competition among the schools. Because if you want to call yourself Ivy League, and that's going to become the Ivy League standard, then guess what? You need free tuition.
I don't know. So I just, in my opinion, there's so many different things that you can look at this. For me, yes, that's great that a billionaire has used their money to make tuition free. The question is should private people be paying for the tuition?
Yes, Kareem. It was Columbia. That's what I was thinking about.
I think that, in my opinion, that should fall to the government. Right, I think that because one of the questions.
Good luck with that.
I had a whole bunch of questions. But let's get to that question later. The question I have right now is: would this have changed the specialty that you would have gone into? Right, you went into OB. Mm-hmm. If you were graduating, knowing that you had no debt, would you have done something different?
No.
You still would have gone into OB.
I still would have gone into OB. So remember though, I said this before in the podcast. Like I didn't even know how much an OBGYN made. When I chose my specialty. I chose my specialty very specifically based on what it is that I liked because I wanted to go into pediatrics originally. And when I went to my pediatric rotation, you were there. You were on the rotation with me. I hated it. I did not like it at all. I did not like pediatric medicine.
This has no effect on if you would have gone into pediatrics. At least not me.
No, but I know it does for other people.
For me, it would not have had an effect. I had a feeling that I was going into surgery before I went into med school. So I kind of knew that already.
Yeah.
I do think at this school, there's going to be people who were going to go into primary care who feel that much better about their decision.
Going into private, you're right. Especially pediatrics.
I can't talk for anybody, but I doubt that this would change
pediatricians out here making less than $100,000 in some places. Crazy.
Because I think that if you were going back and forth about a financial decision and all of a sudden your tuition is free.
Right. That unloads you.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see though. Because I think what happens is yes, you get out of school without any debt, right? Which is helpful. But still, there's still a big income difference between what you do as a primary care doc and then what subspecialists are making also, right?
Right.
That's the part that you don't get shielded from.
Right.
Right? That's the part that I'm like, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
And that's why I think that this is something that the government should be doing, but hey.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, good luck with that. So let's, the other question I have is, will this make getting into that medical school harder?
Yes.
And my answer is yes, because we see that happen with NYU. The applications at NYU went through the roof. It is one of the hardest medical schools to get into. Mm-hmm. And will it exacerbate certain things? Because right now,
what do you mean?
Well, right now we don't know, obviously you don't know what they use to help people get into school, right? Or how they allow people to get into medical schools, right?
I mean, you have an inkling.
We just know that, what their percentages are. So does it become that much harder? Is it still representative of people who live in the Bronx, or is it even representative of people who live in the Bronx?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Like what happens
What becomes to the makeup?
What happens to the essence of the school
Right.
if you make this school super competitive? Do you still maintain the essence of what this school is supposed to be? And I honestly, I don't even know what the essence of the school is. I just know it's expensive and it's in the Bronx, and I
Right.
don't know. That's something that
I see what you're asking. You're asking whether or not the makeup of the school is going to change drastically and how that might impact, I guess, the community that it says it wants to serve.
Yeah, so I'm going back to my notes, and I have something here that says, so if the priority of the government is to protect its citizens from foreign attack, right? Like, it should also be a priority of the government to make sure that the health of every citizen is protected, so to speak, right?
Right.
And that also should include making sure that doctors are properly trained.
Right.
They already do that, right? So
Well, they have regulation to do that, yes.
right, but they already do that, right?
Yeah.
Like, was it Medicare or Medicaid? Is it Medicaid or Medicare? I can't remember which is it Medicare that pays for residents training?
Yes.
But one of those things pays for the training
The
of residents, of
residency
medical
training.
residents, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is like, what's the best way to say this?
Were you trying to be politically correct?
No, I'm not trying to be politically correct, but I'm just saying that there needs to be more transformational change. Like, this needs to be more wider spread out, right? Like, yes, Albert Einstein, that one school, but there's like what? How many medical schools in the United States?
I mean, well over 200.
Right? And I get it. This is great. But this should not be the case just at one or two medical schools. Like,
That give free tuition.
yes, it should be that. But the other
But I
thing
mean,
too-
this might be the start of, that's what I'm saying though. That might be the start of something.
But the other thing that I wanted to bring up actually is remember when I was asking, well, will this actually change someone's decision-making ability to go to a different specialty? The actual question that I have is, what's the question that I have?
You done forgot.
I forgot. But the question that I have actually
Because it sounded like you were really onto something here.
will it just
Results in nothing.
make things worse, right? So basically, now that you've taken tuition out of the realm, right?
Equation.
The equation now you have people they'll do whatever they want to do. Like, they'll just take chances. They'll go into, like, more people will go into subspecialties than normal. That's what I'm thinking.
Why would more people go into subspecialties when so many like surveys and things like that have been done to show that many doctors or many medical students are choosing their specialties kind of based on the fact that they have debt, right? And many are transitioning from wanting to go into primary care to wanting to go into, things that either are in primary care or doing primary care and then moving to a subspecialty within that primary specialty, right?
It's possible.
Right? So that it should have the opposite effect. Now, will it? I don't know. I mean, somebody might be like, well, I'm not in debt, so now I'll make even more money. I don't know. I don't know what that will
at least for that
do.
at least for that one school I was reading, they said one of the positive effects,
Shout out to Quadro.
one of the positive effects is people who probably would not have applied to medical school will now apply to those schools, right?
Yeah.
Because now they say, well, look, like, financially, it's impossible for us to even apply to the school and get in and stuff. Now I'll apply to the school, right? It's a big deal. Like, there's so many people who
There's
get
a
turned
playing
around and
field
stuff.
that's leveled.
There's so many
to
people who
some
get
extent.
turned away and stuff. So
Yeah.
that's something that could possibly help. I don't know. I think
we will not know
I have
the-
my suspicions about it and stuff.
I think
so-
we will not know the answer until, 5, 10 years out and seeing kind of what the trend is, right? I mean, it's easy to speculate what's going to happen, whether there's a trend now that happens and if you do this, then it's going to be the opposite. It might not have the opposite effect. But, giving $1 billion endowment where tuition is 100% free is a game changer. I mean, you can just ask students who go on to full ride scholarships, right? Like we know somebody who had a full ride scholarship, right, out in Indiana.
Yeah.
right? So it's a game changer for that person. So now
He went into primary. He went.
he went to psychiatry,
Yes, that's primary
child
care.
and adolescent psychiatry. But that's a game changer for that one person. But now, if you have so many people graduating from at least these two schools, right? Because these two schools, I'm assuming, probably have more than 100 people in each class, right? If not 200. So you're going to get droves of people graduating each year. If you take, each class from NYU and Einstein, and you follow these people over some time, that's going to be quite a number of doctors who have had the experience of having free tuition and being able to convey why they chose the specialty that they did and whether or not the finances actually made a difference. So I'm interested to see that in the next 10 years.
The how of how this occurred is the husband who passed away just recently, he invested in Berkshire Hathaway. And I think he invested at a early time and just made a crazy windfall.
Shitload of money.
Yeah. But that's not the way we invest, guys. We invest in index funds.
Maybe we should have invested like that.
We save our money. We are long-term investors.
$1 billion.
And we don't necessarily invest in one specific company, but we invest in things like VTI, VTSAX, things like that. So you're never going to see a huge endowment like Dark or anything like that. But that's really interesting. So that's why I wanted to bring that up, because I do think that I agree with you. Like, this is like one of those 80-20 things where 80% of it is all positive.
Right.
But there's 20% of it that I think could be actually kind of bad and stuff, So it'll be interesting to see how it works out. But if the school becomes so competitive that, like, it's not representative of the makeup of the community. I always think that if you have a medical school that doesn't make up what the community looks like, that's already a failure right there. So if you don't have that situation,
well, if that's the case, if that's if that's your criteria, then that's the entire healthcare system, right? Because
but that's always been my criteria.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. If that's your criteria, then that's the entire healthcare system, because we know that the healthcare system in no way, shape, or form represents, the demographic of the United States in total, right? Like, so that just, that goes without saying, for sure. Yeah. Where's your phone? Give me your phone so I can answer these things.
Let's go to the next point, right? The next thing that we're going to talk about is, let's change it up to, what do you call it? Let's change it up from medical school to talking about people getting married, people, going through the bliss of before they get to that point, they got to have a wedding, and they got to have a wedding reception. And what we saw on Instagram is, let me see if I can share this with y'all.
Share it.
Let me see if I can share it with everybody so they can see.
Oh, was it? Yeah, it was a Jamel Hill post. That's right. Nope. Share screen. Yeah. So you guys on Instagram won't necessarily see that, but Jamel Hill posted.
Wait, hold on. Just hold on.
I'm just telling them that they posted it so that they know what we talking about.
Okay. So what I'll do is I'll just make this full screen. All right. So we got a post from Jamel Hill. Really funny thing. And what she showed is a copy of a wedding invitation. And what it is it's inviting people to a wedding reception. And what it says is, we are overjoyed to extend our heartfelt invitation to you to join us on our special day as we celebrate our love and commitment, blah, 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 blah. In lieu of traditional wedding gifts, we kindly request that you contribute towards the cost of our reception buffet. This will allow us to share a wonderful meal together and blah, blah, blah. The cost per adult is $40, and for children under 12, it's $20. We kindly ask that you include your contribution when you RSVP. This will help us provide accurate numbers to our venue and ensure a seamless experience for everyone. So, asking guests to contribute to your wedding reception. No foul thoughts. Let me start. Actually, I actually think this is smart.
You would.
Yeah, because I think
you would.
You're going to, at a wedding, or the gifts for a wedding, you're going to be spending over $40 in gifts anyway. So to put it towards the wedding
What makes you
reception,
think you're gonna
and
get
just
a
say
gift?
and just say that,
Anyway.
hey, we out. But most people who go to a wedding and they go support a wedding, goes to support a marriage couple, like they're gonna give a gift, right? And you think most people are gonna buy a gift that's less than $40?
Listen,
Do you think? I want you to answer that.
tell
question.
me you're broke without telling me you're broke. Okay? If you can't afford to throw a
Well, that's
party,
one part. That's one part.
but it clearly is that they cannot afford to throw a party. We can't afford this party, therefore we want you to throw it for us. Like,
Okay, so
it's
hold on
like
a second.
it's like the anti-surprise party.
Hold on a second.
Right?
Asking people to contribute, is that necessarily mean that you can't afford it, or you just
Yes.
want to say, hey, rather than give us stuff that we don't necessarily need, put that money towards something that we think it would be dope? Which is
No, no,
hold
no,
on,
no,
let
no.
me finish my point. Let me finish my point before you cut me off. Slow down. Slow down. You gotta we can't talk over each other.
Of course we can.
No, we can't.
Of course.
So rather than give us money for things that we're not going to use,
Thank
Right?
you. Thank
Rather
you,
than-
Aaron. Thank you.
rather than give the money for things that we're not going to use, right? Give us the money towards something that we think will be really useful, which is having dinner, having a reception with all of you guys, right? It's like when you go to a funeral, right, and people say, "Don't give flowers, give towards this scholarship,"
Or they say pay for the repast.
or when you have, what do you call it? When you have kids and you're like, look, just don't give us toys anymore. Just put it towards the 529, right? Like, in essence, you're
That
asking
is
people,
not the same
you're asking
thing.
people to pay for your.
No.
You're asking people to pay. Can I finish my point?
You can finish it, but I'm about to destroy you.
Can I finish my point, please?
Go.
Right? It's like asking people to contribute towards something for a bigger cause, but it doesn't mean that you can't necessarily afford that thing.
No. Here's my problem. Right? People do honeymoon funds, right?
People want to know where they buy this sweater. This sweater's from
Dr. Russell Leday. I just put it in the chat.
You put it in
Dr.
the chat?
Russell Leday.
Okay, it's
yeah.
in the chat for Instagram, guys. Check it out.
So here's my problem. My problem is that they're not asking for, they're not just asking for that, right? Like, they're not just asking, like, hey, give what you can. They literally put the cost. They put the cost. And they designated a cost for adults as opposed to children. This makes no sense to me. Because if you are asking for gifts in lieu of, or for money in lieu of gifts, then typically that is something where you just say, just give us, some monetary thing that whatever you can afford.
So you're
this is
penalizing them
not this is
penalizing
not
them
the same thing.
So you penalize
Tell
them
me
because
you're
they give it a number?
broke without telling me you are broke. If you can't afford a wedding, don't throw one. You don't have to have a wedding. This is not mandatory.
So
You can
should they just have a wedding and no reception?
Yeah, why not? Plenty of people do it.
That's what I'm saying.
You
Yeah.
go to the courthouse, you get married, or you can even go to a church. That might cost you $300. You go to a church and you go, yay, thanks. And then that's it.
Okay, so if they didn't ask people to give the amount, then you would say this is smart. Like if they didn't ask
that
for a
would be
specific
fine
amount.
because people do that all the time, right? Especially if it's like people who live together for many years, they may have all the things that they need, so they don't need that, right? People will do honeymoon funds, for example. Like, hey, listen.
Hey, hold on. Let me ask. Hey, Marlon, you here on Instagram? Listen, Marlon, listen. If you was getting married, right? If you was getting married and you asked everyone to help contribute to the wedding reception, and you put the amount that you want people to pay. Adults is going to be $40, and what kids are going to be how much?
20.
Kids are going to be $20. Is
So
that
if
fair?
you got a family of 6.
Can I finish my point? Is that fair or foul?
What do you mean fair? It's not fair, is it?
I don't think there's a problem with that.
No. This is not a question of fair. This is not a question of fair. This is a question of tell me you broke without telling me that you broke. I'm sorry, but you're not gonna put a cost for me. Like literally, like I feel like I'm going to the club.
Why are you mad?
I feel like I'm going to the club.
Why are you mad?
Okay, and I'm bringing my kids with me. That ain't make no sense.
And it's a buffet.
And it's a damn buffet.
It's a buffet.
That's what I'm saying. If you're gonna ask people for the money, you might as well go all out and do a plated dish. Like that doesn't make no
sense.
sense.
No Trini's showing up. Is that true? No Trini's gonna be showing up?
Ain't no West Indians gonna be showing up, period. Because let me tell you, I ain't going to that wedding. I tell you right now.
You wouldn't show up? Just
No,
$40?
I would not go.
I would go. I'd be like, here's $40. I don't have to get you a gift.
I would not go.
I'm out.
First of all, they're stupid because guess what? If they had just said, like, hey, we have everything we need, just give us whatever. Like, just give us whatever to, if you don't want to, if we don't need gifts, but if you would like to contribute something, you can do that. More people would give more than the $40. You telling me if you had a wedding reception that you went to.
That makes them modest then, right? Because now they're just saying, hey, look, we just want $40. We don't need anything more.
Then tell me you broke without telling me you broke. You can't afford, you clearly cannot afford this. Secondly, I just want to know what is the logistics of this.
What do you mean what's the logistics? It's a
Because,
buffet. It's
hold
a buffet.
on. No.
When you make your reservation, just cash at me. Cash at me.
No. I just need to know. No. What's the logistics of this, man? And then I'm going to go and pay $40 and still not get a plated meal. I got to go and stand online. I'm not standing online. Table number 2, come and get your food.
All right,
by the time you get to table number 10, there's no more chicken left.
She's triggered. Let's move on. Come on, man. Come on. Like, we move on, man.
What if I like chicken?
Let's change directions a little bit. Let's change directions. Let's talk about working out. All right? Let's talk about working out. All right? Let's move on. Is that fair subject to talk about real quick? Are you okay? Because the reason why you got high blood pressure.
Come on.
The reason why you have high blood pressure, like, you need to be working out. So let's give updates. Are you working out?
I got high blood pressure.
You working out?
I'm working out.
What you doing?
I'm working out. I have a personal trainer.
Let's talk about it.
Give
us specifics about that.
So I have a personal trainer. She's out in Scotch Plains. Shout out to Coach V, Pretty Beast Fitness, Pretty Beast Mode Fitness. She's on Instagram somewhere. But I've been working out 3 days a week for the last, since November?
Yeah.
Since November. And she works me. Like,
so what
really
kind of
badly.
working out? Is it like HIIT? Like,
no, it's not. Well, I wouldn't call it HIIT training.
Is it weights? It's running?
It's a combination.
Is it CrossFit? What kind of working out are you doing?
Well, I don't know what CrossFit is specific. I don't know what qualifies as CrossFit, so I can't comment on that. But it's a combination of weights and cardio for the most part. So we do like an arm day, a leg day, but even in that arm day and leg day, we'll do abs. We'll do treadmill. We'll do Stairmaster. We'll do like all these cardio things. Sometimes it's very heavy cardio, right? Like, what do you call that? Like jumping in and out of the ring and, going up and down and stuff like that. We do a little bit of boxing as well. We'll do that. It's a good workout.
I have a question for you because we were doing T25, which was those videos. Mm-hmm. You did it for 6 weeks and, it was
That's
good.
it for 10 weeks.
You did it for 10 weeks.
Yes.
You enjoyed it. Well, you did it, right? You got it done for 10 weeks. But you just... So why are you doing this? Why are you doing this as opposed to just doing those videos? Like, what?
I think the accountability factor for me. I have somebody to hold me accountable. I mean, how many of you out there, like, you'd like to work out, but you'd like to kind of work out with someone, right? You're not like that, but I'm sure there's plenty of people.
I'm the complete opposite, guys. Like, I do not like going to the gym. I prefer to be at home. And for 2 years, I've just been doing Shanti or any other videos that are on beachbody.com. Mm-hmm. And that was great for me because I actually didn't realize how out of shape I was. But I'm going to let you keep telling your story.
Well, it's not that I love going to a gym, right? Like, the gym is actually not my preferred place to work out. My preferred place to work out is actually outside, right? But I had to weigh if I get a personal trainer, where is that person? Am I going to feel comfortable with this person? Is this person going to hold me accountable? And then am I going to hold myself accountable? And so it just so happened that she has her own gym. And that's number one. She has her own gym. So I don't feel like it's so commercial. So that was a little more helpful. But she also holds me accountable. I don't know, we just vibe. You know what I mean?
So there's an accountability factor.
Yeah, and a comfortability factor.
How do you justify, because it's a pretty penny, I would say. Mm-hmm. It's a pretty penny. Like those T25 videos, all them things, you know me, I bootleg them. But now we got a subscription, so don't come for me, Sean T. Right? We got a
Beachbody.
we got a subscription and stuff, right? But what I'm saying to you is, how do you justify that price? Because
Well, I can't justify the price. That's her price.
well, you have to you decide to pay it. So has to be some type of justification as to the price, right? You either
Okay.
take it or leave it, right?
Yeah.
So there's a justification that you're making, like
It's because it's
let's
either
move
do
on.
that or do nothing.
How do you justify that then, right?
Because I'm doing something.
Okay.
I don't understand. I said I wasn't going to do the T25 after the 10 weeks. I fizzled out because that's just not, I don't like to work out like that. I just don't. I don't like to work out like that. In
Well,
my
the way
house
how I
and do all of
justify
that.
the way how I justify, because like in order for the finances to work, like it has to make sense for both of us. Right?
Yes.
Like you can't just make a large expenditure and
Right,
then be like,
right.
yeah, nee, I'm making this large expenditure on a monthly basis, and for the convenience of being able to work out, you know,
Right.
like to me that doesn't work. Like it's got to make sense.
Mm-hmm.
So for us, we're at a point right now where we don't have any loan payments. We don't have any large
Debts.
basic debts whatsoever. Right now, we're in a phase where we're saving money and we're investing and so forth. The way how I look at it is if it's going to continue to keep you active, help you, get to the point where you need to be, then it's probably cheaper than not doing anything at all
In the long run.
And having in the long run, in a couple of years or several years down the line, having some issues
I got CHF.
of all of those different things.
I got
think,
kidney failure.
I think that could be an issue and stuff. So that's the way how I justify it in my mind.
Heart
because
attack.
I do think it's a pretty penny.
Diabetes.
I think it's okay. Now for me, I am using something that's called Future right now. I transitioned for 2 years. I was using those videos, and then I just said that I need something more, but I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what else to use. So Dr. Alden Landry, shout out to him. He got put on to this app called Future.co, and it's basically virtual kind of
Training, yeah. Like an app.
It's like virtual type of, training, personal training without being there physically. So it's not as expensive, but you get the ability to interact with a coach. And when you're interacting with them through FaceTime or through Google Meet. And then you're also texting with them, and then you can take videos of yourself exercising, and then they critique you from there. And at first, I didn't like it because at first,
Yep.
with the other working out I was doing, I was working out about 5 to 6 days a week, and then when I started out with Future, I was like down to 4 days a week, and the workouts weren't really getting my heart rate going. But what I didn't realize was that first month, the coach is really getting to know you.
Yeah, he's
so
assessing.
the phone is connected to my watch, and on that app, like it could tell my heart rate during the exercise. He can tell when my heart rate goes really high. He can tell when my heart rate goes low. If I'm not working out hard enough, he knows how to tweak things.
Right.
And then over the month and into the next month, we're now up to basically 6 days a week of working out. I do a thing where I go 3 days hard, a day off, which is a recovery day, and then 3 days hard again.
Who told you to do that?
You gave me a.
No, I told you to do that. I'm taking the credit.
Guys, don't.
I'm
don't
taking the
listen to her.
credit. I told you to do that.
She's seeking validation.
I'm not seeking
Don't
validation.
listen.
That's what happened.
But in general, this app is dope. I love it. They're not sponsoring us. I wish they were sponsoring us, but they're not at all right now. And I like it. I think it's a great app, and it's half the price of what she's paying. The other thing is justifying this, right? So for me, I justify it because for 2 years, I did stuff for free or at a really low cost, and I kept at it. Whether we traveled, whether I did locums, whatever it was, I was working out and I loved it. And that's the reason why I say, you know what? For 2 years, if I know that I can consistently work out, then I think it's worth it to up the ante and not worry about. You know how some people, when they buy like a treadmill or they buy like a bike,
Peloton.
and then it becomes an expensive hamper, right? It becomes an expensive hanger, right? So that was my fear. So
Who got the hanger out there? Who got the hanger? Who got the expensive hanger?
If you listen and you know who you are, and it's okay. Don't feel any shame.
Raise your hand. I want to know who you are.
Don't feel any shame, y'all. So I decided that, hey, I'm going to give myself 2 years before I buy any expensive equipment. And now I have adjustable dumbbells, which go up to 80 pounds.
Yeah, one of these days you'll have to show it on there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so that was the big expenditure. The app, the adjustable dumbbells. I have like one of those pull-up machines or pull-up bars that you put on a door. I have slides. It's still really, to me, it's still really no nonsense, minimal, low cost. And
But that thing be working. You be pouring down sweat, yo.
yeah, it works a lot.
One of these days, yo.
One of these guys, I'm gonna show you the B-roll from it, but I love it. It's great. But I wanted to give you guys an update as to where I am, because I know, 2 years ago I did an episode about Atomic Habits, and it changed my approach towards just being an athlete, and it was great. I love it, and that approach still works for me. I still have a method of basically keeping track of how I'm working out in my habits. Love it. It's great. So shout out to Atomic Habits. Shout out to Future.co.
Shout out to Coach B.
Yeah.
Pretty Beast Mode Fitness.
Yep, she's
You ain't
dope.
the only one that got a coach, okay?
She's dope. So listen, we got a question. This is the last thing, guys. We got a question, right? So somebody wrote into us. We are becoming like the locums gurus, right? Where people want to know, like, how is it that two married couples, they have 2 kids, how do you figure out how to do locums? And if you don't know what locums is, if you're not in the medical field, locums is basically temp work for doctors, right? Independent contracting for doctors, right? You see how a business may hire a secretary just for like 6 months? The same thing happens at hospitals. Hospitals, particularly like in rural hospitals, they'll have a shortage. They may not have a surgeon. They'll hire a surgeon for 6 months, and then he or she is out after that, and they'll have to find somebody else, right? That's kind of how it works. We like working like that because it gives us the most, what's the best way I can say it? It gives us, it allows
flexibility.
Flexibility, our lifestyle. We work when we want, we work when we don't want to, and all that. Love it. Anyway, got a question from Cammie. She wrote in. She says, just curious if you ever received any hate from other doctors, coworkers, since you decided not to do the usual full-time route. I currently work part-time, and I get a lot of questions as to why I don't work full-time. Actually, it's just the same person every time they see me. Don't you hate
They
this?
want to be down, that's why.
It's annoying, and I wonder why it matters to them. It's not like they pay my bills. And I always ask that question,
Can you pay
right?
my bills? Can you pay my automobile?
Just wanted to know if you have gotten any jealous colleagues. So basically, the topic of this segment is how to deal with hate from coworkers when you go part-time. Because that's what I think it is. It's hate.
It's not hate, it's jealousy.
Hate, jealousy, jealous ones, still envy, whatever one you want to use it from. I don't care. But there's a problem here. And I don't think she has a problem, right?
She does have a problem.
You think she
No, she doesn't have a problem.
Gotcha.
Her coworker got a problem.
So see, I'm going to tell you right now, the one thing that I kept notes for myself, and I wrote this down, is I think anytime somebody sees another person, let's say it's 2 employees, they're on the same level, and they do something that's dramatically different, right? Rather than just applaud that person and say, yo, how did you do that? Can you teach me how you did this? There's this initial like annoyance. There's this initial jealousy. There's this initial anger. And I don't know if it's because, well, how did you do that and I can't do it? Or you going part-time means that I got to, take up for you. I don't know what any of that, where that's coming from. But I did write to her on Instagram and I said, listen, a lot of the times those questions are coming from a place of, like you said, I don't know how you did this. How are you been able to do this? And rather than just ask that question, they anyway. So what do you got to say about this?
They're jealous.
How do you handle this question?
So they're just jealous. That's it. That's it. Like I don't deal with jealous people. Like you just jealous. Like I mean, if they keep asking you this question, you just tell them like, yeah, I'm able to go part time. I mean, that's just the way I roll. Like it works for me, And if they're like, yeah, but you don't think that X, Y, and Z is going to happen? Like, sometimes people will be like, yeah, but you don't think, you'll be able to, what about your skills? You think you're going to be able to keep up your skills? Well, I'm here working right beside you, ain't I?
So how do you deal with this situation?
That's how I deal with it.
So you don't say, what do you say?
I just tell, if somebody asks me a question, I will answer the question. How are you able to work part-time? I'm able to work part-time because, whatever the case is. In my case, why do you work locums the way that you do? Why do you work 1 week in a month, right? Because I get this question. Oh, you work 1 week in a month? Absolutely, I work 1 week in a month. Well, how do you get to do that? Well, I mean, I'm not indebted to anybody, and I want to stay home with my kids. That's how I answer the question. That's it.
Yeah, that's so. If you're asking how, or if people want to know how I handle it, it's the same way. I'm very honest.
Yeah.
And I say, listen, when I'm working here, like I chose to work here as a locums, or I choose to work here as a per diem. That's very unlikely working as a per diem for me, but usually it's locums. And, I'm just very much in tune with what I can do and what I don't want to do. And what I don't want to do is I don't want to be employed. And for me,
I do that. I tell them that too.
I just prefer to work at different places. Like for me, over the past, now it's been 7 years that I've been 100% full time.
Right.
Like I'm still doing full time. It's just that it looks different.
Right.
Right. And I think one of the things that used to drive me nuts is I wouldn't get my schedule until literally the day before the next month began.
When you were employed.
Right. And that would drive me nuts because it's like, well, there's a specific weekend that maybe I wanted to spend with my family, or I put in a request, weeks in advance.
And they be like, no.
You don't even find out until the schedule comes out. And it's just like, there was just a certain courtesy that I just didn't like. But I think as a locums, I think one of the reasons why places get a little annoyed, and that's an episode that we have to do. Like, one, not only do employees possibly could get annoyed by that, but also people like at your job possibly could the people who are making the schedule, i.e. the people who run the program or run the hospital, they can get annoyed by that is because they're a business and they want consistency, right? And you being able to say, well, look, like that week doesn't work for me. You're going to have to change it. And you can't force me to do that. They don't like that.
Yeah, they don't like that.
They don't like that at all.
But I mean, if it doesn't work for me, then I can't do something that works for somebody else.
So I think probably the best answer, C, is basically listen, like just be when they ask you why you get to do this or why did you switch to part-time, I'd be very open and honest with them and tell them why. I really would. Or you just give them a short answer and be like, well, this is because I just want to do this and keep it at that.
I mean, I think, so for me, whenever people ask me the question, and I have lots of people who ask me the question, especially because I only work one weekend a month, right? That can be a very jarring piece of information to people when they're like, wait, you're a doctor, you work one weekend a month? Like, how is that possible? You don't work any other days? And I'm like, no, I work one weekend a month. I work 62 hours in 1 month from Friday evening into Monday morning. And that's it. Then I come back another month later and I do the same thing. That can be very jarring to people. But when people ask me that question, I know that there's a component of how are you able to do that and how am I not able to do that, right? Which is, translates into the jealousy factor. But I also know that they're probably trying to figure out ways where it will actually work for them, right? Like, so they're trying to figure, well, how is she doing this? Why can't I do this? And how can I actually change, my life, my, decisions to be able to make this particular, to make my schedule in this way. So, I like to share information with people. So that's another thing. If they approach me in such a way where I feel like I want to share that information, but in cases where I'm approached by someone who's like, oh, but they're trying to throw backhanded comments at you, I just tell them, well, it ain't for everybody. Everybody can't do what I do. That's it. And I make sure I let those people know, yeah, I've been doing locums since I graduated from residency, so this is nothing new for me. Oh, but it's not sustainable? Really? Because I've been doing it full time for like the past 7 years and I ain't missed a beat yet. But, if it doesn't work for you, it's okay. It's not for everybody. It works for me.
Yeah, I think, I definitely think the approach of taking it personal and having any type of like annoyance or anger when you're talking back to them, I think that I don't think that's the way to go. I don't think that's the way to go. But I can see
that's
how
an problem, not a you problem.
I can see how that's annoying though. I can see how every time
I'm not annoyed by that.
Someone keeps asking you the questions over and over and over again and stuff.
I keep answering the same way and just letting them know. Well, I guess it's not for you then. Maybe that's just not something,
What do y'all
maybe
think?
they're just tossing the idea around their heads.
What do y'all think, guys? What do y'all think? That's a question that I have for y'all. For those who are listening out there, and there's a lot more people now who are going part-time.
Locums,
There's
part-time.
a lot more people who are going per diem. and who just may even be locums. And I'm sure you guys are getting these questions where you're like, how do I answer this? It could be annoying at times, or like you said, depending on how they ask the question, it could just be a very look, I don't know how to do this.
Right.
Like I've gotten that more often than the backhanded comments where someone has asked me, hey, I am trying to do this. I am 10 years in and I'm trying to do this with my career. How is it that you're able to do this? Tell me how you get medical malpractice. Tell me how you bill. Tell me how you do all these different things.
Yeah.
And I get that. But there are times where you get people with like the backhanded comments that are just like, you just want to give them a little bit of a burn and stuff. But either way, I'm very interested in what you guys got to think about this. And listen, we're at 50 minutes right now.
Ooh.
Should we go on to the next topic? Actually, let's save the next topic for the next episode.
Save the last dance?
Yeah, especially since we are... Y'all missing it on YouTube. Especially since this is our first time going live.
Is that our first time going live?
As an episode.
No, it's not.
It's not?
No.
Okay. Well, it's been a long time since
we've been live.
It's been a minute since we've gone live, guys. And either way, we appreciate y'all listening to us on your favorite podcast app or watching us through YouTube or watching us on Instagram Live. The whole goal of this year actually is we're trying to do more lives. And also we want to shout out to everyone who's been watching us on YouTube. For some reason, we're over 1,000 and I'm just really excited about that. And thank you very much. We really appreciate that. We want to push to 2,000 very quickly. So keep watching the show. Keep subscribing.
If you're on Instagram right now, go over to YouTube and hit the subscribe button. Do that right now.
And then if you're listening through your favorite podcast app, go ahead and hit follow, particularly if you're on Apple Podcasts. I don't know what's going on. Apple Podcasts just messed up the whole podcast game. Everybody's download numbers are down. It's not just, it's not just the small
It's not just
podcast.
us.
It's everybody's numbers are down. And Apple Podcasts, they got way too much power. But listen, we just want to say thank you very much. Make sure you subscribe to the show on YouTube as well as check us out on podcast apps. And we'll catch you guys on the next one, y'all.
Happy Black History Month.
Shout out to Dr. Russell of the day.
Yay.
Peace, y'all.